wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Hello and welcome, listener, to another episode of Tactical Awareness. It's Season 2, Episode 4, and we're into Escalation Leagues. In this episode, we're going to go through talking about how we're going to be running a 5-game escalation here in my studio, as well as what everyone's starting for new factions in ITS Season 15. We are rejoined by Dan back from Florida, so let's see what everyone's doing and get this underway. There we go, perfect. Perfect timing, perfect, absolutely perfect. Well, this is gonna be a non-ITS15 episode, kind of tangentially related to ITS15, because I put together the Slow Grow League document, and that's gonna give us a chance to go over the direct action missions just briefly, because they're the ones we can play right now, because they don't require a deck, an ITS deck. Have you guys managed to get your hands on the decks yet?
No.
Have they shown up though at all?
No.
Nope.
And sold it? No, I didn't think so. Okay, yeah, because we don't have them either yet here. I didn't think so. I thought for all those reasons, yeah, it wasn't going to happen. So we also do not have access to ITS decks here in Ontario yet. So we're finding a way to keep going, because I don't want to wait any longer to start my ITS 15 army. Like, I want to start on the whatchamacallit, the Hack Islam, and Jordan wants to start in his NCA. So we wrote up the draft, and conveniently it means we can play direct action from the beginning of it. I'm also posting up on the Patreon if anybody in the Patreon wants to do it, and just like tag along. But I'm just gonna chart my progress. It's 5 missions, which conveniently lets you parse the thing in like 50-point stages. So we'll go over that in a bit, but we also get to do the mailbag and then catch up and see if anybody's done anything Infinity related since we last chatted. Dan is back from the wilds of Florida. Survived his trip. Did you do anything Infinity related while you're in Florida?
No.
Did you
I didn't do anything related. I brought some like disc golf to like play some disc golf and hopefully not like throw it into a lake and have to fight a gator for it back.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even find time for that. But you know, it was fun. It was busy. It was hot. It was my glasses like fogged up every time I walked outside.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You go. It's funny because like you're in Alberta and you're at like 0% humidity right now. It's already starting to snow and get cold. And then you go down there and it's like 100% humidity. It's like getting punched in the face and you get off that plane.
Yeah, it's actually down to -12 in Calgary today.
Is it really? Is it snowing?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had about a foot of snow.
It's full on winter. I like walked outside. I was like,
oh, so excited.
Winter. What? Why?
Tremendous. Excellent. No notes. I love that it didn't fuck around at all. It just went straight to winter. Like immediately. You guys have like a second of fall. It's like full fall here. Like we have like the leaves down and it's very Halloween-y. Everything smells like rotting leaves and the melting of dog shit, which is the usual fall MO for Ontario.
Dude, we had like 2 to 3 weeks of fall. That's like 2 weeks more than usual.
Wow. I mean, you missed it though because you're in Florida. You came back and it was just instantly winter. It was just instantly winter instead. Went directly to winter. Do not pass Florida. Do not go directly to fall. What about you, Owen? Any Infinity related activities over the course of the last week?
I mean, not really. I've mostly been just thinking about it. I've been busy moving and with work, and so I haven't really done anything Infinity related other than as I've been moving and packing and moving models around, I've been thinking about what I want to play in some upcoming events and just in general. And I've got a bit of a combined army kick right now. So,
ooh, I did see you posted a Unidron Batroid heavy army list. It has real Spud list energy vibes. If I'm being honest, it looks like a Spud list because it's leaning hard into something that hardly anyone takes, which is Unidron Batroids, which make me laugh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something there. I was talking to Dan about it the other day, and there's something to be said about 5-man pure link with a plasma that can get marksmanship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just go to burst 3 because it's just carbines, but it's still pretty cool.
Sure, but the sniper also goes to 3, and that means that sniper entirely ignores cover when it shoots at you.
Yeah, sure does. Yeah, because it templates and ignores it for marksmanship.
He's marksmanship template, which means
Yeah.
it's like, all right, here it comes. He's
Yeah.
BS17 now. 3 shots on
it's
active.
Kind of like the it's kind of like it doesn't have visor, but it almost does a little bit because of the way that it ignores cover. So it's kind of like an on steroids version of the Yaugat. One less burst, but because it's doing an armor to BTS because of the plasma, it has effectively like the double action roll.
And it's an AoE, like, which is something to be said there. Damage 14 BTS. And then the defensive side of it, you get a firewall in that group because obviously they're remote, so hacking is a threat. But it pumps them to BTS effectively 9.
Yeah,
that's not bad. You can shrug a lot of the scary, like even things that would be really bad, like isolation or carbonite. You need like 5s or 7s, and you'll pass them. And it's like, oh, that's not bad at all.
Even not passing them, it's a big discouragement for people even to target them and waste the orders. You know what I mean? Because like even if you like you have better odds, I think it's almost even the psychological effect of like, oh yeah, they're like 9. You know what I mean? Like you're just not going to try.
I think. Well, I think if someone throws a couple pitchers your way, then you have to like sacrifice a few dudes to try to kill them. And like, if you know, like if they had like a half decent hacker net, they can mess some things up. But I feel like it's just like a little bump. Like it's not a fully shut down.
And the nice thing is that you have 2 additional Harrises on top of that core link,
and
so they can cut out if the core link gets shut down by some kind of hacker or mine or some like big suppressing guy. One of the other Harrises can come at him from the side with K1 or plasma.
Yeah, they're effectively the K1's a big deal too because it's burst 4.
And you can throw marksmanship around still.
You sure can. Yeah, I was gonna say they're a bit like the Daikini link, just like they're basically. I mean, it's that thing where there's always mirrors between Combined Army and ALF, right? They're kind of like the Daikini link, which means that they have all the same weaknesses and all the same strengths. So if you handle them like a Daikini link that has slightly different weapon loadouts and strengths,
not having mimetism that the Daikinis get, I think is a big deal because mimetism is pretty powerful. But getting dogged in return opens up a lot of choices because now all of a sudden you can be like, you know what, he just needs to live one more turn, like just stay alive and it'll all work out.
Way harder to dig out.
And then even if they go down, you can bring your good buddy Dr. Wormbot and all of them have 2 levels of unconscious.
They do. Yeah If you activate Dog, they go straight to dead. They skip the 2nd level, but you could actually, funnily enough, you could activate
the other side of that.
What's funny is you could be down on your first unconscious, take a wound again, and activate Dogged, I'm pretty sure.
No, you can't activate Dogged if you're already...
Oh, sorry, you could take 2 wounds off your first wound and still activate Dogged is what you could do. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was trying to think if there's a way you could like be down and pop back up, but you can't do that.
No, you can't do that one.
Yeah.
And then they also have Discover +3. So their whips aren't very good at a 12, but it kind of offsets that. And so like the Discover shoot ain't bad. And then 18 when they're in their link and he still has marksmanship.
Yeah.
As something Discover shoot on an 18-17, I wouldn't let that roll. I'd be like, I have to react now.
It ain't bad.
And they can all link with one another. And so if people start dying, you just pick new guys up.
Yeah, no, there's something there. I mean, I think it's just one of those things where people kind of ignore it in favor of like power Harrises or like whatever the best you can get out of the link there is.
And there's a tag.
Yeah. Like
there was a discussion about whether or not it was going to be the Cascuda or the Sphinx. Because you can do both. It just depends on how many links you want to have.
Yeah, I like the Cascuda. I like him for how cheap he is, and I like his like ability just to show up table. I think he's cool.
In the current season, I think is the only time because of the ability on any exclusion maps to just guarantee it. Because like he's too expensive to risk it if you didn't have that auto do.
To risk a roll, yeah, absolutely.
Even if you can get it down to a 15% failure rate, 85% chance of success is a 0% chance of success.
He'll always be able to parachutist.
He doesn't have parachutist.
He has AD. Does not include parachutist?
No.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought you included both. I used just because it was level 2 to include both, right?
They normally have both. Most people have both, but not always.
So his basically his bonus is going to be the seasonal bonus for now. I mean, he might, and his profile might change too because it's a reinforcement profile right now. So they might. I think all of those things.
This is his.
No, I know. What I'm saying is because they're new. Like I'm saying, I think they're all subject to change after the first season. I wouldn't be surprised if they got tweaks going into the next season.
I mean, maybe.
So I did get a game in, like last week, but then I wasn't here for the whatever episode.
We'll do so.
I was trying to force ISS using with spamming the Hollow Echo because I was like, Hollow Echo is cool. I'm gonna make it work. It doesn't work. It just
what do you mean?
Sad.
What do you mean? I mean, you've had one game.
No, it's been 2 games now. I'm trying to do it, and basically, Hollow Echo, it feels like a marker state kind of thing, but it's clearly not, and so you don't get that advantage. And with the lewd ones, you're just kind of too bulky. It's amazing at clearing mines.
I was gonna say it clears all the peripheral weapons and all of like the chaff.
And I did bait out like a sniper shot from Luna. And so it like revealed he just had a lot of camo. It was vanilla Yujing I was playing against, and there was just camo everywhere. So I was like trying to bait it out, and it wasn't too bad. But then it was just kind of, I took 2 Canarins as well, and I was like, they're cool. And I was just like, nah, they're just not good enough. And it was just, yeah, I'm past the dissolution that it's a good ability. It's an ability, and it has its uses, but like bringing a whole army full of it is not an advantage. It's more of like a fun. It's kind of like if you go second, you can have one turn where they have to guess a little bit on what stuff is and maybe waste a few orders or half orders.
And it gives you so much to manage. There's so much model management because you have so many models on the table.
Like, be like, I'm like picking up. I'm like, is this the real one? Is that the real one? I don't know. What's going on?
Like you're just creating an enhanced mental load for yourself in a lot of cases, trying to remember who's who.
Yeah, and in a faction with Yujing, where there's so many like heavy infantry with 2 wounds and high BTS or high BS, and then you're like using these remotes that are just so fragile, where they just get you fail at one attack and you get plunked, and then you just go unconscious, and and you only have the really expensive Sovitek to get them back up.
Yeah, only having the Sovitek in that particular list is bonkers.
So it was just, and I brought like the 3 TR bots as well in there, and they just didn't perform. Maybe it just didn't work. And I was like, that's fine, right? But like I got that out of my system. I'm like, okay, I can try some more stuff now. It's like, okay, I've tried that. I want it to work. It kind of works in some ways. Doesn't work the way I want it to. And I would go on. So that's the point of playing the new faction, right? Of just like playing with these crazy rules that have no business being anywhere close to 2012.
Yeah, and take it like to the logical extreme too, like going all the way to the end of the earth.
Yeah, and then it's just, so now I know, I feel like I'm very familiar with that rule and its limitations and what you can and can't do with it, and so I think that's useful.
I mean, if nothing else, it gives you like a ton of experience managing Hollow Echoes now. So when you scale it back and use like 1 or 2, you'll have a lot more clarity on like how they work and what you want to do with them, which I think is super valuable, because I do think Hollow Echoes and Hollow Mask and all that stuff is a very powerful tool, but it's not one that like it's not mechanically powerful the way that like Marker State and like MIM is, you know what I mean? So like it requires more finesse, which means having too many of them, I think it's like a diminishing return. I think you're right.
I think it's just trickier in ISS because like I can take a Luduan, which is a 55mm base. So that means I need 3 55mm bases. And it can only pretend to be like a couple things.
Yeah, it's like baggage bots
or Rishi.
Yeah, or Rishis.
So then you're like, okay. So it's
both of which are targets for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like it's not like that makes it less of a target.
I mean, I made it so I had 8 Rishi standing up looking at you at the beginning of the game. So
that's very funny. That's incredidly funny. Imagine
you I had to go first,
Rishis and you have no idea who it is.
Yeah, Jesus. But then I went first, and then as soon as you move one guy, you know.
As soon as you move one guy and 3 guys move. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, is there anything legally that says that if you move one guy, you have to move the rest of the Hollow Echoes?
I guess not. How does that work with activating though? Do they know that the other
Yeah, I was gonna say if they ask, it does feel scummy.
Yeah.
That you would have to declare, like, I think you would have to declare.
Yeah, because
they're all activating. You have to declare who's activating. Yeah, no, that's true.
Because otherwise they could have someone.
There isn't really a way of like, yeah. it's open information who's activating, so you'd have to tell them. And omitting it is just dirty play. Like, you don't do that. So yeah, I think you're right.
And then the Canarins, they could be whatever, except that what makes them somewhat good is the 4 deployment plus 8. But no other model in the sub-faction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what they are, no matter what you pretend to be.
Yeah, you immediately know which one it is.
So at that point, why even Holomask? It doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
The only reason Holomask is to hide, like, whether it's a killer hacker or a hacker or mind layer or whatever.
Right.
So there is some reason, but it's
whatever the profile is. Or you hide yourself as a Canran killer hacker when you're not.
That's that's actually smart. I like that.
Right? Like, I'd pretend to be a killer hacker, but I'm not a killer hacker. And then, like, they just avoid me with all their hackers, and I create this, like, cloud of anti-hack that people don't go through. Or they, like, waste a bunch of orders sending another killer hacker to come Trinity me, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not a hacker. Like, they Trinity you and they just waste the order because you're like, cool. I do not. Yeah.
All right. So I feel like they're just too expensive. I feel like in vanilla, taking one could be cool, but it just seems like it lacks a few other tricks that you need to go alongside it to maximize it. And so it just felt a little sad. But I'm still not giving up on ISS. There's still more things to try.
Oh, there's so many more things. The ISS is a relatively wide faction. Like, they got tons of options for what you can do, which is great about them because they're older faction. They got a lot of profiles, little tricksy things, and cool heavy infantry and stuff too that you can lean into and make like a heavier hitting army. And then the mixed links as well with the Celestial Guards.
And I got the new both reinforcements, alpha and beta.
I also got that. Yes, that's exciting.
It was annoying that there's no labels on the boxes.
I was going to bring that up at the end. I was going to talk about the packaging on those things and be like, so for the entirety of Infinity, every model in the back of a package has been labeled, what it is, what the profile is, what it's armed with. You've always been able to flip the box over.
That is the only place officially that you're let known what each model
what the profile is supposed to be. Yeah, unless you look at the renders or like the spoilers and stuff like that. These boxes have zero identification on them. Period. None of them do. But none of them have any identification on them. And that might not seem like a big deal, probably to you listening who know what something is in Infinity can recognize these models. That is a huge problem for retailers helping customers.
As a new player, you just get lost.
It's completely indecipherable. I honestly didn't know what the hack reinforcement box was. I had to look it up and see that it was Muyibs and Govads. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea what it was. I was looking at it, I was like, assassins. I was like, what the hell are these? I had no idea what they were until I went and looked at this. Like, I had to go to the CB website and look at the contents of the package on the website and see it was Muyibs and Govads. I did not know. I had no idea. So yeah, just fix it. It's easy. Just put the labels back. You had them on the sides before. They're incredibly handy. Don't get rid of that. They're super important.
What was really nice about the Yujing beta pack is you get an extra Jujak, but you only get one in the code 1 kind of release. And so getting an extra one, and then you get the character Jujak that you can just proxy the normal Jujak or whatever. But all of a sudden you have like enough to play like a Jujak Link or whatever.
Isn't there a Jujak box?
Yeah, but not in code 1.
Oh, not in code 1. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Not in what you have, basically. There's not the reinforcement back.
Not in the code 1 release.
Roger that. Yeah, you're right. So, it's just the base one from Kaldstrom.
Yeah. So, but that's nice because when you buy that, you get 2 characters that you normally wouldn't have, the Chief, Jung, whatever, and the Jujak, Sora Kwan, and then another Jujak, and you're like, that's perfect. Now I don't need to buy a Jujak box.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so I think that's a really good purchase.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a good mix of stuff. I really like the Govad one too because it's just, or the Govad and Muyib one because it's literally all the profiles you would want to use. It's the hacker, the Govad hacker and the Govad. I think HMG are the 2 that you get, and then for the Muyibs, it's the FO. Which Muyib is it? It's the. I'm looking at the profiles on the thing. It's the Spitfire, and then the random rifle one that could just be any of the other ones. Yeah, I think it's the Spitfire and the rifle. You don't get the missile launcher, the heavy rocket launcher ones, but like, who cares? I would never take the missile launcher. I don't think either.
Meh.
Yeah, it's a 25-point missile launcher, which is kind of cool, and has an X visor, which means you can fire it up close, which is weird. But I don't think
anyway. It's a rocket launcher who has tap aware.
Oh, it's a rocket launcher, not a missile launcher. I'm talking about the missile launcher in not in Muibs and Govads. I'm pretty sure that one's the missile launcher, isn't it? Or is it a rocket
He's
launcher?
a missile launcher.
He's a missile launcher, yeah.
He also has MSV1.
He does have MSV1, yeah, but I don't think I'd take him either. Just from the fact that he's a missile launcher. I don't like missile launchers for the most part. BS-12 is not great. And you have access. I'd take the sniper probably for less points than SWC. And just shoot double action rounds with him. If you're going to link. But that's just me. Well, we're on to the mailbag then. Let's jump in and answer some questions. Thanks everybody who filled it up. And we have the three basically that are left. So we're going to 0 on this one. And we need you guys to come refill it for next week. So please, I'll link this once again in the description for the video. Or the video rather. Well, it'll be in the video if you're watching this on YouTube. But if you are listening to this on the podcast, it'll be in the description as well. And also on the Tactical Awareness channel on our Discord.
And as always, there's no wrong questions, but there are stupid ones.
Yes. Yes, that we will answer poorly. So the first one is for me/all. It's from Tomato. And it says, Ash loves a random roll table. And who doesn't? What kind of things would you put in a random table for entering a QAZ? So like if the QAZ zones had random effects, what kind of things would you put on the table?
Ooh.
So I would love for them to do some kind of like Akira mutations to people. I think it would be cool if like it had a table where you basically rolled like a phys check, and if you passed, you rolled on metachemistry, and if you failed, you like rolled on like an anti-metachemistry table. Does that make sense? Like you had some kind of thing that would like debuff you. You know what I mean? The opposite. So like let's say instead of being the 8-6 movement, like you'd turn to motorcycle legs, you would go to 4-2 or something like that, you know, or like instead of +3 fizz, you get -3 fizz, like little things like that, where the QAZ stuff is basically like it's doing like an annihilation and it's turning your guts inside out, and sometimes it makes you into superhero and sometimes it screws you up. I think that'd be cool for the QAZ zones. Any other ideas? I have a couple other ideas, but I'll let you guys go if you have anything pop in your head.
That's a solid idea. That's way better than anything that was formulating in my head.
What about you, on?
I don't actually like the random tables in Infinity that much.
I mean, you're choosing to enter it, right? So
yeah,
always.
But I don't know. It's the number of times a digger pulling a motorcycle out of his back pocket has like wildly impacted a game.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what kind of random things would I like? I'd like, yeah, like what would I put on the table? It would probably be movement shenanigans.
Like portals. That was what I was thinking. Like, as if you go in and you make a check and then you come out in a different one, or a random different one.
Like if you entered a QAZ and then you do some kind of roll or some kind of state,
like a whip
and then
check or something.
You get placed 8 inches from your current location,
and
you do something where you and your opponent it's like an opposed roll to control yourself, and now all of a sudden, like, you're moving your characters around randomly to some degree.
Yeah, you have like a sliders thing where you get to pick a zone to be placed in, or your opponent puts it in one of the zones or something like that instead.
Yeah, or just a distance from where you are. Like there could be, like, if you wanted to make the chart, there could be like table edges or table quarters or exclusion zones or other QAZs or a distance from current location. Like you could do those as all of the things on the table.
Yeah, I love that.
Because if you make it that your opponent can also do it, it doesn't just automatically make it power. Because like if you
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, exactly. Have it not always be good.
Yeah. Because if your opponent can be like, or you're like, I have to pass through the QAZ to go push that button, and you're like, but what if you were hanging out with my link team?
Yeah, I think that's my thing. Is I think I like random stuff in Infinity actually, because I think it counterbalances that like power build. I've stacked mods to the point where you just can't come after me anymore. Urge that a lot of people have. Well, sure, yeah, and that's what I mean. Like if you have something that creates like an element of risk that neither player is in control of, I think it's good because it allows for some uncertainty in situations that you can mod stack to be very, very certain. So I actually like that, but I think that the randomness needs to have multiple outcomes, not just a positive outcome. Because I think, like you said, sometimes the random positive outcomes can be too powerful because they're by nature random. So you got to make them good.
Well, currently there are no negatives. It's only positive or nothing.
For metachemistry and booty, yes, but there's skills. You pay points for those skills, right? And sometimes you get a lot of them, and sometimes you get a little.
I wonder if you could like throw something out like changing the range band on a weapon. Of like
that'd be cool.
When you enter into a QAZ, select a weapon on your profile and then roll in the chart. And while in the QAZ, that weapon will adopt a new range profile.
You can even just have it be like a blank bonus, like that this person's all of its ranges are basically reduced by one band. So like if it's at 8, it uses its ranges for 16. If it's at 16, it uses its range for 32. You know what I mean? Like just drop everything down a band basically.
No,
like you shorten it or extend it.
But imagine a sniper having like a shotgun profile.
And
you're like, I can't shoot fire anymore.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the shotgun would go from -3 and then 0 and +3 to 0 +3. Like it would be like +3 0 -3. Like it would just like drop down immediately, and the shotgun would just like not work. It would be like -3.
What if the shotgun gets a sniper profile and you're just like, wow.
Sure, yeah, that could work too.
I don't know.
Yeah, like totally random.
Yeah, you'd have like 5 different, or like I guess there's only like how many different range band profiles are there in Infinity?
There are a total of 5, I think, because it goes to 42. So it goes 8, 16, 24.
No. I mean like the range
32, 42.
profiles. Like there's a combi rifle, which is the same as a multi rifle. There's a Spitfire, which is the same as a whatever. There's a sniper. There's a unique. Then there's like the missile launcher and the rocket launcher are the same.
They're different. No, they're different. Rocket launcher doesn't go to +3 until 24. That's why I don't like it.
Oh, that's missile. Rocket's good at 6.
That's right. That's what I meant. I said it backwards. Yeah. Rocket's the one that's short range. Missile's the one that doesn't go to +3 until 24. That's why I don't like it.
But anyways, there's not a ton of different profiles. There's like a pistol profile. There's a shotgun. There's
yeah. Have them trade around. Just be like, just literally have it be like a roulette. Like if you're armed with a pistol, like when you go to fire your weapon, you roll a d20 and you use the stat profile from like a random weapon.
So you don't even so you make your BS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just randomly transforms into the Zorg gun from whatchamacallit, from
Blue Beetle.
The helmet. Yeah. Just the helmet, man. So
have you seen that? The Zorg's gun's in Blue Beetle.
In Blue Beetle. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I did see the picture of that. Yeah, where they just reused the prop where he morphs the Zorg gun basically, which is great. I love that they did that. That makes me really happy.
Tied to the movement one, I would also accept it changes places with another model.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like have it like do a swap. Yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah, I think just more stuff like that. Like make them feel like what they're supposed to be, which is like holes in space time. So have them do like random weird stuff like that.
Or just impactful at all.
Yeah. I picture them as the like screwed up zones from like the first Spider-Verse movie, where like universes are overlapping. You know what I mean? There's just these weird fractal chunks of like space-time that you accidentally walk into and stuff just gets weird and screwed up. Like that's, to me, that's sort of like skitzing out as like what I envision them as being. So I think that'd be awesome.
You could also do like black hole type thing where if you're in it, you do a fizz check, and if you fail, you go prone and move 2 inches towards the middle of it.
That'd be cool.
And like you just have to do that at the end of each short skill or something like that. You have to make that test every time, or at the end of each order, some combination thereof.
Yeah, or like have it like isolate you until the end of the turn. You know what I mean? Like it like fucking turns off all noise or something like that. But like you can just walk out of it the turn after. Like just random stuff like that. Like it turns off the end of the turn.
Yeah.
Just weird random effects. I think that would be my want, is to have it always just be weird and random. All right, the next one's from Joe Soap, and it's for Dan specifically.
Oh boy.
It's just you, buddy. In the last year of doing this podcast and being new to Infinity, what were some of your biggest aha moments where you felt you finally understood the game or its concepts? Like, what were like some of your biggest breakthrough moments?
I don't know if it's kind of been a gradual thing. There hasn't been like huge moments. I think a lot of it was because Owen kind of put me through the ringer in like the first month of playing, where he's like, this is the worst possible way to experience this problem. and this is the worst possible way to experience this problem. And I'm like, oh dear God, these are all awful to play against. So that was kind of like a nice intro into these are the worst things that you can encounter. And then I have it in the back of my mind of like how I might build a list to play against it.
As we start playing, we do a Rocky montage for 3 months, and then he goes to Carbonite and he's in like the top 20.
Yeah, that did happen.
That kind of is what happens.
I think there was a couple of, if I was to like from a witness point of view point out some things that I noticed, you had a moment where you stopped trying to do everything in the active turn and you started playing defensively, and you spent a good month, probably like your second or third month in, where you built these like defensive lists that were designed to like start stripping people's orders and like do things in ARO that was really cool to watch happen. Do you remember that?
No, yeah, I don't know the exact moment, but I think it was just I was just getting tired of like McMurder running across the board and like just scalping my army, or like specular killers or fides or all the other number of things that people love to bring in tournaments of like, oh, if I go second and I'm not prepared for that crap, I just lose. And it's just awful feeling because there's not much you can do about it if you don't have the right tools for it. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just embrace the kind of lists that have more hidden deployment or more camo states or whatever to make it harder for those people to kind of do those things or try to. And then it was way more fun playing the game because then it was like they have to figure out your puzzle instead of you figuring out theirs, kind of thing.
I think that's what you're talking about, is that you started making puzzles for people. Like you started figuring out how to do that, how to lay a puzzle.
Yeah.
That they had to work their way out of.
That was a huge moment actually, because then you're like, oh, okay. And then like playing vanilla, it's like, oh yeah, like people with forward deployment or infiltration, like so important, and how to place them and whatever to save on order efficiency and all that kind of stuff. I guess I had another like aha moment when I started playing with because I hated playing with fire teams. They just felt so clunky and awful and whatever. And when I finally kind of like figured out kind of how to move with them and kind of like poke out just one at a time and everyone else lags behind, or like utilizing the Harris to get better AROs and just kind of positioning, and kind of like it started being more fun. Of like, oh, okay, these aren't just horrible, these are actually quite fun and enjoyable to play with as well. So that was a moment.
I remember that. I do remember that actually. I remember in the beginning, the first time you fire teams, you're like, I don't get it. I don't get why people take these. I'm all in the same place. And then this thing comes over and just kills me. And I hate it. Why does anyone play with fire teams? Like it took you like a solid like 2 months. Did you even take fire teams to Carbonite? I think you took vanilla 012.
I took vanilla. So no,
that's
I had
right.
a couple
duos. No fire. You had some duos. Yeah, that's right. You had your bounty hunter duo. That was like as far as you took. Like you were like, this is the most efficient thing I can think of. I don't want to go anywhere further past this because it just feels like a trap.
I will invest an exact 18 points.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. No more, no less. You only get 18 points out of me game, and then screw you. No more fire teams. No, that's a good one. That's a good question, actually. I can remember about those things distinctly.
I have one more thing, is when I started analyzing games after the fact, I realized that like way different from like War Machine, or Malifaux, or 40K, or Age of Sigmar, or any other number of games that I've played. Sometimes it goes like, oh, if that dice roll went differently, or if that charge roll was a little different with that unit and gets in, then the kind of the game changes.
Right.
And a lot of it's not a lot of decision making. There is, but it's kind of like, well, if I did this, maybe that opens up the thing. But it's kind of like really abstract.
Right.
Usually on something you couldn't control, the dice determine the game. Right. How you typically think of it. And Infinity is so vastly different. Or you can think of it that way, but in reality, you can think of it in the, if I chose to do this, that would have been a much more like higher chance of success. Or if I didn't do that, or if I did that instead, or if that guy activated over there instead, or if I deployed that guy a little over to the left, or if I didn't reveal that guy when I did or I didn't. And it's just kind of, you realize that when you evaluate an Infinity game, you have like these massive branches of like decision making that you're like, I'm in control of my own fate. It's like the dice didn't determine that game. I mean, sometimes dice determine game, but almost always it's like, no, I could have played way better. Like I could have made so many more decisions that would have made it way better for me. And that is infinitely almost more than any other game I played. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And you just when you lose a game, you're like, okay, now I know how I want to do something different.
There's something, I think there's something with the economy in Infinity, Dan, where because you spend orders any way you want to, you feel like you can actually see the control and the choices you made. Does that make sense? Like you can actually like see your own decision-making tree a bit clearer than in flatter games where, like, let's say every model has 2 actions.
Yeah.
You feel like the dice affect you more because there's no do-over. Like, let's say if the 2 actions are I move and I attack, if that attack doesn't go right because the dice screw you, it's over. In Infinity, if that happens, you have the luxury of like maybe 10 more orders. You know what I mean? To try again and like get it right. So like you get or to move and like come at it from another angle where your odds are better. Like there's a bunch of like carry on choices where I feel like you own the results more, and so you can kind of play that game tape more. That's really interesting that you said that.
And like for example, after the last big tournament we had in Madison Hat that we went to, like Owen won all his games, and he was frustrated that he won the games, which I thought was funny because he's like, well, I didn't learn if this was good or bad. I guess it's good, I guess, but it's kind of like it's like, oh, I wish I learned more about Infinity.
Right.
Winning all your games, it's not as kind of fun.
When you win them, not like there wasn't like a play that went really well. It's like you do things that are not optimal, and then the dice just let you get away with it.
Yeah.
And you're like, boy, I sure didn't learn a lesson from this.
All I know is taking a cutter and a Yodam works great. Just do every game.
I brought 2 Yodams. What'd you bring the next mission? 2 Yodams. And the next one, I was really close to 2 Yodams, but I brought a Yodam and a cutter. And then I rolled a bunch of 3s to crit, and I won.
Yeah.
Just like I did the other 2 games.
That's right. Yeah. No comeuppance. Apparently the bad guy won today.
The trick to it was when his anti-tag weapon walks around the corner, crit him and kill him in one shot.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Thus solving the problem.
When the thing that can take you out has all of the odds of doing so, and you just roll a crit and kill him instead. Hooray!
I shoot you 4 times with my AP Spitfire on 14s. I crit you with an explosive round. See you later, lose it. No.
Yeah. We thought about getting good. Well, I couldn't do anything. I tried.
I didn't make the wrong decision. It's possible to make no wrong decisions
and still lose. That's right. Yeah.
I don't actually.
Thanks, Ryan. Good job, Ryan.
I'm a huge fan of, like, as Dan was talking about, like the changing your plans. Even when the dice go bad, I'm still of the like, I lost because the dice went bad, yes, but I played in a way that allowed that dice roll to be a thing that made it whether I would win or lose.
Yeah. There's no backup plan. I had no backup plan for this. This was the one plan that was going to work.
Well, I could have also just like, my list didn't have the flexibility to be able to be like, oh, there's a scary sniper person up on the hilltop. Yeah. Can I cautious move? Yeah. Can I smoke? Can I eclipse smoke? Can I drop an air trooper? Can I infiltrate? Can I be camo? Like all of these other things that you could have done, even from a list building perspective, never mind like the tactics you made in the game. And like, yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you do get like, I had an option for that, and this was the only one I had, and it failed its dice roll in this instance, and that set us back the whole game. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's going to get you, but
it just shows you a hole in your list. You know what I mean? Like, and then you own that because you're like, no, I definitely left that vulnerability in what I had as possibilities to handle this thing, and then that thing had its inevitable result.
It's hard in tournaments these days because of there's a couple really extreme power models. I feel that you need like apples and potatoes to be able to deal with them. Mm-hmm. And it makes it like you only have one tool to try and answer that problem. Like, like a Speculo Killer / Fade / Uxia. if your list isn't designed in such a way that you can absorb whatever they're going to do to you, you're going to lose. And it's the same on the other side of the coin with Atalanta, Bolt Link, Morat Link. Like these are high accuracy marks or state ignoring. Like, oh, do you not have an answer for an MSV sniper who can fire multiple times and hits on 18s or 19s? Well, I guess he'll die then. Then you need both, because if you go to these events, you're going to need to fight all of that at the same time, and sometimes you'll just pick the bad one. When Duroc is around, he's great too.
Yeah, I think that's I think that boils down to there are known force majeures in every faction that you have to be able to identify, and you should always act as if they're around the corner. That's just my mindset for that. Like, you can't do anything about them having a Duroc and Margot, but you can know that it's a possibility and see deploys if they do and if they don't. And same with like Fides. You just assume they do. You assume that every, Nomad list has a pitcher hacker that's going to try and drop a missile on you. You assume that something's always going to show up from behind or deploy in your zone. And then you deal with it when it happens. All right, well, we're into Raven Strike 2009's question, which is for all of us. That's our last question for this week. So go fill it up because we're out of questions. Completely bottom of the barrel. I love painting Infinity miniatures, but can often struggle to get paint schemes together. Deciding colors, details, and all that is hard because the models are so pretty and I want them to look good. Any tips or tricks on how to paint Infinity models better? Okay, it's kind of a broad question, so...
I don't know how to paint, so good luck.
Owen cheats with contrast paints. Owen's got like the best, I think, mindset for painting Infinity models, period, where he picks a color scheme and then just hammers it out across all the models and gets great results just by having things look consistent. Do you have any advice on this, Dan, before I dive in? Mine's not a nice answer. So
yeah, I mean, contrast paints are good.
Bust out the color wheel and look at the two complementing colors, and then paint all the high things the one and the low things the other, and then paint all the guns black.
Done. That's actually great
Rinse
advice.
and repeat. However many times
great advice.
It's literally all of my armies.
I know it is. Yeah, that's great advice.
Green, yellow, blue, yellow, red, gray, red, black, blue, gray.
Yeah, I think the enemy of success is not getting started, and perfection. Perfection is always the enemy of success, right?
So I actually have one thoughts here.
Okay, go on, Dan.
Go into it. I'm just like looking back, like, so Yujing, I just started painting. I guess I've been painting for a little while now, but it's kind of like I chose the basic orange, but I wanted to throw a splash of blue in there. And so, because orange and blue kind of go together, but then I also did some orange and green to kind of break some stuff up, like my blue wolf and the monks have like green capes. And it's kind of like, don't be afraid to experiment. Especially with like the mercenaries, you can just like throw some different colors on there when you're getting bored of your main color scheme, and like make some bad color schemes. And like, but you do it on one model to start, and then if you don't like it, then it's really not that hard to paint over like a thin thing of white and then cover it with another color. And so if you like them and they're pretty, just experiment, have some fun. Like, I'm doing all my guns white, like I'm more of a white metal, which it's hard to do, like make it look more metal. So they're just kind of have like not as much detail, and they don't look as nice as my black guns, but I like it in contrast to the rest of the model. And so I'm sticking with it. And so just don't be afraid of making something ugly. Just paint. And if it's ugly, well, you just repaint it. It's not that bad.
It was literally what I was about to say. The thing that Dan is saying over and over again that I like the most is just don't be afraid. Like, don't be afraid. Just paint. You can strip it. You can start over. You can start from scratch. Just paint. And like I said, perfection is the enemy of the good, because you don't ever start. So just start painting. And if you don't like the paint scheme, paint it again. How many times did you paint your Knight Army, Owen? Like 4?
Yeah, like 4 or 5.
Yeah, and he
my Hakazan army has been repainted 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
And when I say my Hakazan army, there's like 100 models in my Hakazan collection.
Hakazan army has been going since we started playing Infinity, which is over 8 years now, almost 10 years. So you've been building that army, and it's huge. It's a lot of miniatures.
I capped out the AVA on everything that could be maxed out. and I have a lot of the things that can't be maxed out.
Yeah, it's all in cargo pants. Yeah.
Yeah. And half of them are white, blue, and half of them are brown right now.
Perfect. And you'll keep on experimenting because that's half the fun.
I'm looking at my gaggle of shakushes right now.
Yeah. Gaggle of shakushes. My recommendation is that if you're going to get like a prod to get started, pick, and this is a great actually like segue into what we're doing next. So thanks everybody for putting more questions, and I'll segue into this next thing with this comment. Pick something to motivate you to get a chunk of what you're doing done. Owen and Dan and I have all used tournaments or game nights or like some type of deadline where we have to get together and have stuff painted for a game as like a motivator to finish things. And then don't worry about the like getting it perfect. Just get it done. Like get it painted. And you can always go back and touch it up or add details or paint it later. Like just get started and have like a dead date for yourself. You're going to put it on the table and have some fun with it, because honestly, putting it on the table and actually enjoying it is the biggest, I think, motivator to going back and adding more and trying again and doing extra things. And so that leads us into our main topic for tonight, which is escalation leagues. It's the new season. The season has started. It's never a better time to start a new army. I start a new army every season, and as you heard us talk about last week, I am now officially.
I start a new army every 4 hours.
You do start. Sorry, but the difference is I have all the armies. This is the only army.
I also have all the armies.
I know you do. This is the only army I've never played.
Actually, that's not true. I have not played Yuching.
Yeah, or Toha.
I have a Toha army.
You haven't played it yet, though, have you?
I played it once. I don't know if that counts.
I don't think it counts yet. I don't think it counts the same way. But anyway, the goal here, like to talk about, have this discussion is to kind of like motivate people to either try Infinity for the first time or to start a new army and get excited about the new season. I always find it's useful to come at the season fresh, and that means having like a new experience to go along with the new missions. I think you kind of spoil it for yourself if you carry your last season's army that you know everything about into the new season. You don't enjoy the full, and I'm not saying don't play last season's army in this season. I'm saying take the opportunity to like start something fresh and feel like you're like turning a page. It's one of my favorite things about Infinity. And because starting an army in Infinity is both inexpensive and like fast to do, you don't need a lot of miniatures to play this game for your first list, unless you're crazy like us and paint massive amounts to have all the options.
Let me tell you about my 35 combined army models on my table right now.
I know.
So I can play a 10 model list.
A sickness. That's what this document's for. So I put this Slug Rogue League together to try and just show off how easy it is to start something that is very, very like loosely structured and very fun to do. It grows from basically having just the downloadable free PDF rulebooks on the app and one box set of like a station train set. So you can either get the Kaldstrom train set, the Hlock station terrain set, or I think the new one is, what's the Blackwind one called? I can't remember the Blackwind one called, but they're all the same. You get 4 buildings, 4 obstacles, tons of like walls, a complete token set, and I think it's like $20. Like you get a table and you get the mat. You get the mat to play on, and then start playing, and that's it. That's all you need, your models and that, and you can be ready to play a game. So then you just set a timeline. A good example would be like, let's say my friends and I are gonna get together once a week or every other week. So like for Jordan and I, we're gonna be playing weekly. We're probably gonna try and get 2 games in a week, and we'll put them out like once a week, basically, like when we record them. And there's 5 games in the direct action set. Now I think direct action is really good to start with because there's no requirement for an ITS deck. You don't need any extra accessories to play all 5 of these missions. And I really like these missions. I'll be honest with you. I like the direct action missions. I think they're all good picks. It starts with Annihilation, which is played on 100 points and 2 SWC on a 24x32 gaming mat. So the one that comes in the train box. And it requires no extra objectives, and you get a defensive turret, but you can just use any 25 mil marker to have the defensive turret if you want. Recommended trains, the 2 large buildings, 2 small buildings, 4 obstacles, and the 8 to 10 small walls. Game 2 we're going to be playing is Cutthroat, which is the assassination one for killing lieutenants at 150 points and 3 SWC. Again, played on the same size mat. And then the extras, there's no objectives again. So it's just reinforced tactical link and key ups. You get a dodge +3 tack aware guy. You move into a larger table size at 200 points with Battlegrounds. So 200 points in 4SWC on a 36 by 48 gaming mat. So if you need to, the easiest thing to do is just get some like painter's tape and tape off a foot on a standard 4x4 mat, or just you can literally take a 6-foot mat and divide it in half and have 2 games going at the same time. That's the easiest way to do it. Is just get a piece of painter's tape and like run down the middle, and you can have 2 Infinity games on a single mat. That one doesn't have objectives either, and it's got key ops as the extra. And then the last two, the 251 is still at the 36 by 48 gaming mat. It's the first one to have any objectives. Got 4 consoles, not superiority, and it has a hacker bonus, key ops at dodge +3, and tack aware as your only like extras that you have. And then finally, it ends at 300 points, so a full army in 6 SWC with uplink center, and that's on a full 48 by 48 gaming mat. And you're going to want to have 2 sets of Infinity Terrain for these last 3. So basically just buy a second, either buy the expansion set, which gets you like a tower and objective room and some extra buildings, or buy a second set of the building ones if you just want to keep it cheap and easy and keep with the Infinity Terrain.
Or if you got any of those 2-player starter sets.
Yeah, like exactly. Any couch from stuff too, yeah. Well, you can buy the train out of those starter sets. So if you start with the starter set, just buy the train set to add to that, basically.
Sure.
And that one's got 2 antennas and a tech coffin and an engineer and hacker bonus and an active lieutenant, which just means if your lieutenant's alive at the end of the game, you get an extra point. So my army for this, I'm actually setting myself like an additional challenge for this. Because the goal was at the end of 5 weeks, you'd have a legal, fully painted 300-point ITS15 army, and then jump onto the other missions after that, or paint extras so you can have some options and stuff. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to paint an army for assassins to start off with, where every 50 points I add includes the previous models. So I can't go back and like swap things in and swap things out. Like I'm building this as I go, and I have to include the models like throughout the mission, basically. So my first 100 points is a Ghoulie Lieutenant at +1 command token, a Ghoulie NCO with the Owen's favorite, the grenade launcher and smoke grenades, a Govad Hacker with a killer hacking device and an Asawira to duo up, and then a Famoose remote and a Mutt with a jammer. So it's only 6 models with a warband, but I'm feeling pretty good about that list for 100 points. What do you guys think about that? Rate my list.
Was this a vanilla one or Hot Assassin?
This is Assassins, yeah.
So
like going into Annihilation. Ghoulies? It's just going into Annihilation, and it's Ghoulie Lieutenant with command token, Ghoulie NCO grenade launcher, Govad Hacker with killer hacking device and an Asawira, and then a Famoose and a Mutt. That's by 100 points for kill.
Checks out. And you're gonna link the trio.
I'll either link the I think either the Asawira and the Govad go together.
Yeah. Oh, I see. You have a Govad.
Right, I have a Govad killer hacker to be like one link, and I can't duo the 2 Ghoulies, but I don't really need to because I can spread them out if I need to.
No Bereed?
No, because the Bereed goes into the Ghulams, and then I'd have to have the Asawira all together with them, and I kind of want the Asawira mobile on that small table. Like I don't want them all clumped together.
Well, he just doesn't join them, right? Gulam, Bereed for one link, and then the other guy just off on his own.
Yeah, but you can never duo the Bereed or the Ghulams. They always have to be a Harris or a core.
Can you not use Harrises in cores? I might have missed that.
I could use a Harris and a core, yeah. I could have the Asawira join the Ghulam and the Ghulam NCO.
Yeah.
I can have a Harris instead, and have the Govad Hacker be by himself and get like Cybermask and stuff like that. There's a bunch of different options here, but I can just switch that up on deployment. But that's why I kept the Govad Hacker, because I could have a duo and 2 loose guys, or I could have a Harris and a loose Govad like wandering around. Was the goal.
Yeah, no, that checks out.
So then I go into 150 points, and I got to play Cutthroat. So this is the one with Lieutenant Murder. So it's slightly harder because it's still on a small table, and you're trying to keep your lieutenant alive. And in this one,
do you think your 100-point list would do well against my Sciavoro Lieutenant +1 command Strategos, double Imatron, double Ikadron, Gaki Taiga?
Yeah, I think I'd do okay.
I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 orders.
Sure. Yeah, I'm into it.
Sepsiter that Asawira.
Go for it. Go for it. BTS 9. I'll live.
What's damage? 16.
I'll live. Still on an 8. I'll be fine.
You guys are cute.
So the profiles move around a little bit in this one. But I do get some new stuff as well. Like I what I'm doing is the models stay the same, but I could have like different profiles inside the same thing. And for this one, we are going to add in a little extra punch. So my Gulam becomes a Gulam doctor. The NCO stays. So the lieutenant becomes a doctor. The NCO stays, and I get a Ghoulie hacker. So I can get up fairy dust and stuff if I want to. And I get Yera Haddad as my lieutenant with the AP marksman rifle. Don't have the points yet for the forward deployment. I still have my Govad hacker. My Asawir becomes a doctor, right? So I got Dr. Asawir now, I can push buttons. And I gain an extra mutt this time with smoke grenades, because that way Yer can have somebody smoke out to do smoke shooting shenanigans. And this is kill my lieutenant. So Yer's going to be an open info lieutenant, but I'll have smoke shooting. I'll still have the Asawira with the Govad that can go off and like murder people. Or Yera, the Govad, and the Asawira can be a Harris, and the Ghoulie, NCO, Gulam, hacker, and doctor can all be like a Harris as well, like a 3-man core. So I got some choices. I got some choices there, which I think is neat. It jumps me to 7 regular, 2 irregular, and 2 impetuous. So I'm sitting 11 orders at 150 points, which I'm feeling pretty good about. What do you think about that? Adding Yera as lieutenant. I think Yera's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is the 200 or 250?
150.
Oh, 150. Sorry.
Yeah. It goes up by 50 every week, right?
Yep.
So for the next 50, I'm adding basically Yera. I'm upgrading profiles on a couple people, and I'm gaining a Gulam hacker and a mutt. Those are my 3 new models.
I don't know how 150 point plays, in all fairness.
Yeah, that'd be fair. And this is on a small mat.
It's like,
it's lieutenant.
I shoot you and you die, and it's like, oh, okay.
But this is lieutenant hunting, right? So I wanted a lieutenant that could fight at this point. I wanted somebody who was not just going to instantly die, was the plan. So I only add a couple new models to go to 200s, but they are models that I'm very excited about. And those are a IR, because everybody likes an AR. He's going to be hanging out with group 1. So group 1 like shifts around slightly and goes to 10 models. So the AR is going to have the breaker rifle, zapper, panzerfaust, drop bears, and a viral pistol. She's the 41.4 deployment one. And he still has his sweet hollow mask and hollow projector. And then I had Delamy, and that's my extra 50 points. So I get a Delamy panzerfaust to hang out with the cow markers and basically be, the usual shenanigans of being a Delamy, than just shooting things.
I'd bring
what do you think about the AR?
Points.
Pardon?
I'd bring the Avatar at 150 points.
Yeah, sure. This is 200 points. This is 200 points.
Yeah, the AR is.
And this one I'm playing Battlegrounds. This one I'm basically playing. Battlegrounds is basically the it's frontline. It's like quadrant control. It's like a similar quadrant control.
The AR is one of the models in Infinity. He's the least interesting guy in Assassins, which is
really. I like him. Why do you think that?
Hollow Echo is not a good skill, and he's competing against an army of people who all have everything you could possibly want. Like, I like him in theory, but the problem is the things that he's competing against. Like, for everything that he can do, a Shuge is cheaper and will do it better. Or a Nadir. Like, Nadir's hit and deploy, MIM6, forward deployment, 20 points. I mean, it's true. The AR has the extra wound, and his surprise attack -6 is pretty cool.
Because nothing except for 6th Sense gets rid of that, right? So visors
and bio visors
stuff. Yeah, I was saying visors too. Yeah,
biometric visors too.
Yep. Yep. The best.
That is what you pay
the
for.
The one thing they do.
Yeah,
biometric visors.
I don't know. I just think like spray another Asawira.
Yeah, I want to try them.
Duo them together.
Maybe, yeah.
Or
he can't do it.
He can't with himself. He just joins that Govad and continues to make it a bigger Asawira team.
Just get giant with the Asawira.
Yeah. I increased my points by 50, so I brought another Asawira and some guy. I increased my points by 50, so I brought another Asawira and some guy. I increased my points by 50.
Well, if you didn't
I
like
can't bring
that-
any more Asawiras, so here's a Sunduk butt.
If you hated that, you're gonna hate this because at 250 for superiority, guess who I'm bringing in?
A second AR?
That's Sunduk butt.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. I
No,
literally was
Sunduk
just
butt,
making
sorry.
that joke.
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry. Shakoosh. I'm bringing in Shakoosh.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. Go for it. Send it. The Shakoosh is also one of the models in Infinity. Actually, that's not true. He's a bad model in Infinity. AR is a real model.
I'm making it work. I'm bringing the Shakoosh and I'm making it work. I'm playing it in superiority for the first time. So by the time I get to superiority, I'll have a Shakoosh.
Duo him with Yera so you can die faster.
Let's see how it goes. I love how salty you immediately got that taking a Shakoosh. I'm gonna play Assassin's.
I literally have 2 Shakooshes in front of me right now.
I know you do.
Because I have my 8 tags that are on the painting table.
Mm-hmm. Well, at the end, then for my last, sorry, and I drop a mutt. I drop the jammer mutt, and I keep the smoke mutt because I think smoke's more valuable.
Yep.
And then for the last 50 points to go to 300, it's a Fide and a Shihab. So a TR bot and a Fide, because then I think I've got all the meat and potatoes of a decent. I'm trying out everything in this 300 point list for Uplink Center, and that's when we go to like the final mission. So I don't know, man. I like this list. So it ends up being Gulam Doctor, Gulam NCO, Gulam Hacker, Yera, and a Govad with an Asawira. Then I got a Fanus, an Ayar, a Shakoosh, and that's all of group 1. And then group 2 is a Mutt, a Delami, the Fide, and the Shihab. Because I honestly don't think the Fide needs that many orders.
It doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah, nothing. Exactly. They just need to sit around.
Or find a TR bot and go beat it up.
Yep, exactly. They're there to menace, to be menacing. And everyone else has a brief dynamic life, and I can always transfer them into it. Like once people start to die, I can just transfer them into the other group anyway if I want to. So I guess I could put the Fanus in that group. The
Fide over McMurder.
Well, just because I already have McMurder painted. Like when I start tinkering with this list, obviously I'll try out McMurder and stuff too. But he's already painted. Like this is just me having everything I want painted, right? Like and painting all new stuff. And that's it. Yeah. So it's going to be so. And I think I stayed inside my challenge of using the resin bases because I have 10 25 mil bases and I have a Gulam Doctor, Gulam NCO, Gulam Hacker, Yera. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the Fide, 9, 10 with the 2 Mutts, 11 with the Delami. I got one too many bases I have to do here. I'll have to buy a second pack. And then I got enough 40s for everybody because it's 2 remotes and the Shakoosh are my 40 mils, and you get 4 in a pack. So I got to find one more base or find it. I think I had the second one. I just don't know where it is. So I get the extra bases in there, but it should work. It's going to be a new army, which I'm excited about, and something I've never played before. Although I've played against it almost endlessly.
I think the Rajik needs to get some attention, love this season. I think there's something there with a Whip 15 hacker.
Well, I have 5 Rajik minis between old ones and new ones, so I should definitely paint some Rajiks. I also really want to paint all my Yan-Yans. I want to paint all my Yan-Yans because I have so many Yan-Yans. I should paint them all and play because I want to play the other factions too, right? Like through the season, I want to change to different hack sub factions, right? I started with Assassins because you said that was one I had to start with, but I want to do QK and Rama as well. Because a lot of the stuff bleeds over. Who's also in QK? I want to paint because I do want to do the QK link with the Janissaries and the what's his name? The Azrael. And they also have the Yan-Yans that I really want to paint. Having 3 Yan-Yans, I think it'd be super fun.
Janissaries with the Janissaries can't join the Azrael?
No. Remember we were talking about doing like the 2 Harrises, one's Janissaries and one's the Azrael.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, now I was just doing 2 Azraels. That was all my lists because they can just have the dirt cheap Hafsas and stuff.
Yeah, Hafsas just follow them around.
Yeah, Leela, Rouhani, Hafsa, double.
Hafsa's pretending to be Janissaries.
Yeah, there you go.
Because why not?
They pretend to be mobile brigadas.
That's true. Yeah, very brigadas and Janissaries.
Yeah.
But that's
these are my 2 mobile brigadas. You can only take one. Yeah.
Sure can. That's right.
I brought 0.
Guess which one's which. None of them. Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
But that's the plan. So anyone who wants to join in, if you're on the Patreon, you'll have this either the Patreons, you'll be able to grab this PDF and play along with us. I'm going to post all the updates as Jordan and I build and paint and play on the Patreons too, and in the patron chat on Discord, so you can check it out. But I'll post the link to this in the patron Discord right meow, and that way you guys can can I join a call? Weird. Can I add this to Zoom? Oh no, I can't add to Zoom. I can start to Google Meets. Oh, interesting.
I have a 100-point list for Imperial Service.
All right, show it to me. Tell me what it is.
It's 4 Quang Shi and a Celestial Guard Monitor.
Of course it is.
And then
good start. Powerful, strong start.
And then a Celestial Guard Lieutenant. And then a Murder Cat with a Spitfire.
Yes, it is. Oh, I'm so into that. That's a great list.
And for 100 points, it's kind of scary.
I love it. That's great. That's a great list. I mean, it's suicide bombers and a transformer.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love that?
Mm-hmm. I actually fit Sun Tzu at the beginning, but then I realized he's only BS12. I was like,
he's so bad. I guess you could get the heavy infantry one, but they're generally speaking, they're so bad. I don't like Sun Tzu's. We've had this argument though.
I want him to be so good, but
I also want him to be good. It doesn't mean he is.
Bring the Avatar in game 2 and never take him out.
I hope you do. I hope you are. No. I hope you are the you continue to be the monster that we know you to be.
Avatar by himself with his little remotes that he'll get to 150 is like 8 orders.
Wait, how much points is the Avatar?
100 and yeah, you can't get him in 100 because he's over 100 points.
Yeah. You bring Mr. Avatar. You bring your two nil net rods.
And the 2 Echidrons.
And then you bring 1 Echidron. Can't afford 2. Actually, sorry, no. You bring the 7-point flashpoint bot.
And an Echidron.
And then a Gazi.
There you go.
Or Gaki.
Gaki.
And so you have 4, 5, 6 regular orders, plus tack aware, plus a irregular and an impetuous.
And you can pull off the irregular every turn with a command token to make it regular.
Which you have +1 of. And you can buy an order with your command token.
Yeah.
Also, you have an Avatar at 150 points. If they get into melee, you lose. If you don't, you win.
Yeah. If Shinobu shows up, you're fucked. Otherwise, you'd be all right.
My Fide walks into melee. Got him.
You just stand there. You never give that Fide another order again.
I do nothing.
I just look. My list is like Quang Shi running out one at a time and just exploding like popcorn.
I'm going to try and rush you.
We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him.
Just fucking hugs. Just bring him all the hugs.
Yeah,
perfect. Nailed it. No notes.
10 out of 10. Got the spirit of the game. Figured it out.
Every shop owner wants Owen to be their community leader.
Have you bought an Avatar?
Owen's ITS scores because he has won over 100 demo games.
Yeah, that's
good for you, buddy.
I inflate my score.
I've never been defeated in a demo game. Owen currently undefeated in all demos of Infinity. That would be the worst brag. That would be
all his demo games against me.
That would be the worst ever brag. No,
you won the very first
one. You crit the shit out of him and just you learn nothing because you exploded his face.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. The very first game was great because like, Infinity's easy.
Like Kappas are better than Thorakides.
Yeah, perfect for first game. Sweet. Well, that's it. So we will follow with this next week, and hopefully, I really hope we can get the ITS decks before we record again, and be able to talk about the what is it, endurance ops or whatever it's called. I really want to try that. That's going to be my new favorite way to play. Just the shovel.
I want the decks because we have a tournament in 30 days.
Yeah, too. Yeah. Did you start order some?
I don't know.
You should go find out. Let's find out how many they ordered because you have a tournament.
Did we even pre-order them?
I didn't. Dude, I don't pre-order anything.
I get it. I'm just saying, if you can have a tournament, you want to make sure you have this stuff. You could pick up the phone and call your store and get some put aside.
But Owen, you get double the points if you don't prepay.
I don't even know what that means. All I hear is my order is not going to be fulfilled, and the game doesn't deserve my money anyway.
Okay. There we go. Bye, everybody.